The scene starts in April of 2013. I'm going for a knee surgery at a local hospital. Halfway through surgery, I woke up. I looked at the anesthesiologist and I said, "Hey, come on, put me back to sleep." And he did. And after the surgery was over, why, they put me in a room. I was in my room for, 3 or 4 days. They sent me home. I tried to rehabilitate myself, using a walker to try to get around with, very painful. About the 5th day home, I started really getting sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And my wife called me to the dinner table, and when I got there, my head just crashed down on the table. She said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm terribly sick. I need to go back to the hospital." So she took me back to the hospital. That's the last thing I remember until the next morning. I woke up to the sound of my daughter and my wife's voice. And I looked across the room and they had a nurse that they were talking to. And a couple days later, as I lay in ICU, a team of doctors came to my wife and told her that I had sepsis, very bad sepsis. And she was not to get excited about me coming back. She accepted that, and a few days later, they came to her. This was a whole team of doctors. They told her that the disease was in my leg, both legs, and that they may have to remove my legs to save me. And they had a piece of paper and asked her if she would sign it. She said, "No, I won't sign that. I trust that he may get better, so let's give him a little more time." I began to have weird dreams. I was hallucinating. And one night, one of my feed bottles went empty and the alarm went off. It sounded just like the alarm at my house. I thought, I've got to get home. I've got to get to my wife. And I struggled to take things off of me. I was ripping things and tearing things and trying to get out. But they had these boots on me, these compression boots, to keep me from getting blood clots. I couldn't get out of them. That was the only reason I couldn't get out of bed. The nurses ran and they grabbed me, put me back in bed, hooked everything back up, called my wife on the phone that night, said, "We need to put your husband in restraints. Will you say okay for that?" So she did, and there I was. Couldn't move my feet, couldn't move my hands. I don't think the doctors ever really had hope for me recovering. My daughter and my wife came every day, prayed over me. One day my daughter was praying and a nurse came into the room and said, "Oh, honey, don't do that. He's not going to make it." On the 22nd day of my sickness, a light came down and it shined on me, and I followed it up. I came out, stood on this platform in front of this beautiful garden, like an English garden. So beautiful, and you could see it for miles. And there was a huge building that had pillars, just so ornate you couldn't believe it. But I didn't see anybody. I thought, what is going on? And then I felt a presence. And then I heard the voice, and the voice said, "You are not needed here at this time, so I will heal you. Now go back and tell your story." Back into the light I went, back into my bed. Somehow, my feet went back into those boots. My hands were tied again. About 2 or 3 hours later, I woke up, and they were taking everything off of me. My doctors were at the edge of my end of my bed. I heard one of them say something about a miracle. My wife and my daughter were there. The nurses seemed happier than anybody that I had made it. But the doctor came alongside my bed and he said, "Mr. Keller, you're a lucky man. You're going home." My wife and my daughter says, "We can't take care of him in his present state. He's lost 85 pounds. He needs to be rehabilitated." So I went to the rehabilitation place. They rehabbed me for about a month. My wife took me home, and I regained my strength. Started coming back to church as usual. For years I wanted to be baptized, but my wheelchair held me back. I couldn't get in and out of the tub at church. And I pined because I could not get baptized, I thought. And then one day on the stage, Pastor Andy said, "You want to be baptized? We'll baptize you anywhere. We'll baptize you at your home." And my daughter, she's a sneaky little devil, and she called the church and she talked to Michelle. And she said, "My daddy would really like to get baptized. Maybe we could make this happen. You could come out to the house and do it at the pool." And Michelle said, "We're going to make this happen." Both of them are sneaky. And then she called me and she said, "Well, Daddy, your wish has come true." They said, "Well, people from church are going to come out." I'm thinking, 3 or 4 people, and the pastor are going to come out and they're going to baptize me. And we're going to end it all. People kept coming and coming and coming and coming. They must have had 45 people there. So Pastor Ron and Pastor John took me in the pool and they dunked me, and we had a big time. And there's no reason you can't be baptized. You want to be baptized? You can do it. Just trust in the Lord. Tell him you want to be baptized and make an appointment, make arrangements, and do it. That's all you got to do. You'll feel so much better.